Hello, everyone. It is so great to see you. I am Michael Breeden, the Director of Development here at ACT Theater. I'd like to begin our night with a land acknowledgement. I want to acknowledge that those of us here in Seattle are on the land of the original people and storytellers of our region, the Coast Salish. We recognize specifically the Duwamish tribe, who continue to seek federal recognition to this day. We honor you and this land with gratitude. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. You're all here because you give so generously to ACT Theater. And we really can't thank you enough for sticking with us this past year. And there are so many of you with us tonight that we aren't able to turn on cameras to have any social time. I'm so sorry about that because we'd love to see your faces, but hopefully in the near future, we can make that happen. I'm going to cover a few things around housekeeping before we begin the program. We do have closed captioning available tonight. You just need to click the button that says closed captioning at the bottom of your screen. If you have a question that comes up during conversation, please just use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to share with us. We'll be doing Q&A at the end of the evening. And lastly, we are recording this program. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Becky Whitmer, ACT's Managing Director.
Thank you so much, Michael, and thank you all for joining us tonight for our Tuesday night Tech Talk. I am Becky Whitmer. I am ACT's Managing Director. I know many of you, but in case we haven't met, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. I trust that you are all safe and as healthy as can be, and hopefully we are all on our way towards vaccinations so we can gather in person perhaps before this year ends. We'll see, fingers definitely crossed. But until then, we are grateful that we can see you here online and connect with you over video. And we also have an exciting announcement. If you joined us early, you saw some of the screen shares with the titles of our digital season. And if you've already subscribed, thank you so much. But just want to make sure to highlight that we have a full slate of world premieres coming up in our digital season. Of course, Wad by core company member Keiko Green. We also have History of Theater by, for, about, and near by core company member Reginald Andre Jackson, and 3 plays in the ACT Local Playwright Reading Series by Lorenzo Roberts, Stacy Flood, and Rebecca Torino Collinsworth. So please do check it out on our website. We'll have more information about how to log in and view and select the whole series. Lots of information for you there. Thank you for supporting new work, for continuing to support ACT in these unusual times, and certainly for helping us to support local artists. So tonight is Tech Talk, and Tech Talk is an event series that has been at ACT for many, many years, and it's where we take donors behind the scenes to learn about the artists, the ingenuity, the technology, and innovation that it takes to make a show come to life, either on stage or, in this case, on the screen. And a rare treat tonight is that we actually have actors from the show as our special guests to share their experience of what it was like to work behind the scenes. So let's meet our Tech Talk partners. I want to bring out Alyssa Montgomery, our Director of Production, and our core company actors, Rachel Gayer-Mafuni and Avery Clark. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you. How about I just spend one more minute talking about the setup for WAD, and then we can dive right in. So some of you out there may know this, but Keiko's play Wad was the first in our ACT Local series in 2020 that we workshopped, and the staff were able to watch the reading in its entirety. And I was right at the end of their workshop. They were culminating that, and we got to tune in and see the reading. And the story is about a relationship between a man who is in prison on death row and a young woman who seeks him out to be her pen pal. And it was funny and suspenseful, and I was creeped out, and I thought it was so clever, and it was just incredible and full of surprises. And it was like that moment in that reading. I was watching it on my iPad, and I had a couple of errands around the house, and I was just carrying my iPad around, and I was glued because Rachel and Avery as actors were just making incredible eye contact with the camera. And it was this moment early, or maybe in the summer of the pandemic, that I just thought, this is it. We can actually do theater that is captivating and bring it to the screen. This can actually work. And it became clear to so many of us that WAD was going to be a production that we would want to pursue and produce again, and to make it a formal part of our digital season. So thank you all for being part of it. I know a lot has happened since that reading, and since we ended up making the digital production and doing the filming. So why don't I'm going to start with Alyssa to just set us up for what happened behind the scenes. Alyssa, I would imagine a lot of our viewers out there tonight have tuned into a lot of our programs, have seen Zoom readings and events, but like production wise, how is WAD different technically than what we've done before?
So this is definitely our most ambitious project to date, and certainly our most technical project to date. We filmed this like you would film a movie, with really fancy video cameras that the actors had in their houses. We supplied green screens and lighting kits and transformed their houses into movie sets, and they were fully costumed. So this, when you watch WAD, what you're going to be seeing is Keiko's play fully realized as a filmed play movie.
Awesome. Okay, so a totally different process than anything we've done before. Like you said, working with Amina Kaplan as the director, and of course, Keiko Green involved all along the way. Just a little information about how did we narrow in on what could be done. We knew we wanted to do a digital season, but so many ideas were up in the air to think about how do we do this safely during the pandemic. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that process was?
Sure. And so what you also have to remember is the only thing constant in this process is everything changes. And the minute you think you know something, something else happens that you really have to change and adapt to. So that was something that our team just had to be so responsive to. When we first started talking about this in pre-production, we were in early fall, and things seemed relatively in hand with the pandemic. And our plan A was to fly Amina Kaplan, our director, to Seattle from Florida. We had a studio rented that was going to have green screens and all of these things that we were going to be able to do. And we really thought the team was going to be in the same room making a movie. And then the Thanksgiving spike happened, and it became very clear that it was not going to be safe for us to do that, and safety had to be our top priority. And so we did a massive pivot, and we decided that we still wanted to do this play, and we were going to do it 100% in the actors' houses without any technical support for the actors beyond what we could deliver to their front doors. And so we delivered kits, and we delivered cameras, and we delivered sets and props. And then the rest of us went away, and we were on Zoom, and the actors were in their houses. And so that really was how we did it, and really couldn't have done it without them, because we were back here, just looking at the same kind of boxes like what you would see on your screen right now.
It's absolutely amazing. I definitely have some questions for Rachel and Avery. I wonder if we want to share any, do we want to share any of, I know we have some background photos. Do you want to share a little bit now or later?
Sure. So when I talk about what we saw, here was what my image was as I was watching the stuff on Zoom. So you can see it looks like a Zoom window, but what's really cool about the way the camera setup was, and this is where the network of theater professionals across the country are so useful, is the Alley Theater in Houston, Texas did something similar to this when they did their Christmas Carol, and they recommended what cameras to use. As you look at the images, you'll see the squares around the actors' faces. The cameras had facial recognition autofocus, so the actors could press play And that's how we knew that the camera was always going to be in focus. You might be able to see a little earbud in their ear, and they actually recorded their audio directly to their computer so that we could then sync and edit as we were making it all happen. But what we were truly seeing was what the camera was seeing, because that was then plugged in and that was their Zoom feed as we were working. And the director, you can see her box down there, was just coming up and working through. And part of what makes this so cool is there are really neat fantasy sequences. So we were able to, in this section, have a complete black void. We had green screen and we had a white screen in addition to the reality sets, which we transformed in everybody's living rooms or guest rooms, as the case may be.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, let's move to Rachel and Avery. So I just did a very, very brief setup of what this play is about, and it's brand new. And I know some of our audience out there have heard Keiko talk about the play in some of our interview series, but would just love to hear from both of you about your characters. Who are these people that we just saw a little behind the scenes photo of? Rachel, do you want to go first?
Yeah. Niece is, I love her. She's kooky. That's why I love her. Teenage girl, senior year in high school. And like so many of us at that age, and also before that age, after that age, doesn't fully know where she is, where she fits in, who she gets, who gets her. And so she's one of those gals who I also relate to, who is so young, but like is so smart and is seeking other people who she thinks like are at her level. And so you can really see her as a character, like seeking like knowledge and relationships and connections in this very naive way. But I don't know how to go with this. I don't know how much I can reveal, but
naive and smart are fantastic descriptions of her.
Beautiful combination of naive and smart and very quirky and very, I'm not like the other girls, and so I'm not going to do what the other girls are doing. Who doesn't have any really like solid relationships in her life, like person to person relationships, and so she's always like on the hunt for something, or for someone to shoot the shit with, to really just like get her brain juices going. And so she seeks someone like the character Avery plays. And I think it's really beautiful because this whole show is, yet again, I don't know how much I can say, but like the relationship that Avery and I have, our characters is, and what we did, is we never, we all never saw each other face to face, but we created this relationship through writing and creating relationships through words, not face to face. And I think it was really like perfect timing, like unfortunately, but like to do this play in the way that we did for two characters, just like creating this very strange, fun friendship, whatever you may call it. Virtually. Yeah. She's a kook. She's a kick in the pants.
Well, you play it beautifully. Thank you, Rachel. All right, so tell us about Jim. Avery.
Yeah, Keiko, when she wrote it, she was just, I need someone really handsome. And then Act was like, oh, yeah, you wrote this with Avery in mind. Like, well, yeah. So that's really all it. I'm just like eye candy. But beyond that, for those of you who don't know me, I'm totally kidding. I'm pale and tragic. I work for the part. It is, let's see. Yeah, again, like Rachel's saying, it's hard not to give anything away. But Jim is someone who is stunted because most of his life he has been in the prison system. And although stunted, also longing for a connection with another human. And that's probably just the most basic and most simple and primal explanation for Jim, who is obviously, there's things he's hiding from parts of his past, and he's set up certain coping mechanisms that Niece, for better or worse, tries to bring out of him. But yeah, and just to piggyback off of what Rachel was saying, this was, I feel like in a lot of ways, this medium actually, it didn't hinder the way that the story, because these are two people who are communicating who never really meet face to face, because they are in two very different locations, and Rachel and I were in two very different locations. So like acting, you always hear, is all about listening. And so those earbuds that Alyssa mentioned earlier, it wasn't just recording us, it's how we heard each other. So it could be recorded in real time. So I'm sitting down in my room and I have a piece of tape on the wall, and that's Rachel. But yeah, we never even got to look at each other. So it wasn't even like this. Like right now I'm looking at Rachel, looking around like a weirdo. And hi, hon. Good to see you. And so like we were just talking to the wall the entire time, but hearing each other in our ear is a very surreal experience, but rewarding, but one of the most difficult and challenging by far that I've done in my career.
Oh yeah, I was looking around because I still have
tape marks.
I still have a piece of tape right there. It represents you on the wall.
There I am.
Acting to it one scene. So, oh, there's Avery.
Or the Red Bull can. I was a Red Bull can often too.
Oh, the Red Bull's over there. Actually, I just had a Red Bull.
All right, that's the perfect segue. Thank you both. It was like, and as you said, this play was not written to be a Zoom digital production. This is it's written as a play, and it's so interesting to think about it on stage and how it will be different. But it really was the perfect project for us to enter into this digital world. But we were saying, like, we never usually have actors in Tech Talk as our guests because you're usually in a costume, trying to have dinner, maybe taking a nap. It is a very precious rest break before we bring our guest donors in to watch a little snippet of the rehearsal, which you're always so generous and welcoming to folks. So it's a real treat to have you both with us. But you were the tech team as well as the actors. And so that's really why you're here. Let's talk about the tech. What was it like to bring a film set into your home? Like, just tell us a little bit about what the physical surrounding was like, and just some of the specifics about what it was like to be both the actor and camera operator and everything else. Avery, why don't you start?
I've learned how to unmute myself so well in this last year. That was the challenging part. I think Rachel would 100% agree with this. We both had to wear a multitude of hats. I feel like actually Rachel probably had to wear even more hats. We were doing the work. Granted, we had people in our ear telling us where to set everything, but I was in a very tight space. So it was very hard to say, like, okay, we need more lighting there. It's like, they couldn't see what it was like where I was. Like, I can't do that. Oh no, a screen. Oh, that's me. That's me. Yeah, that's my tight space. That's a crazy picture. Look at all those wires. I tripped over those things all the time. But it was a very tight space, and we were wearing a lot of hats. We were we would set up the camera. We were in charge of the audio. We hair and makeup for poor Rachel. I'll let her get into that. But it was that was probably 80% of it. The acting, we did pretty much everything in, I think, like 2 takes, most of it. And it's a very dialogue heavy setup. Yeah. So there's my setup. That's actually really cool. I haven't, yeah. So it was tricky. You can see there's some tape on the wall. There's a black piece of tape on the wall there. That would have been Rachel. Right next to it are my lines. Cause like I said, every now and then we had to have to cheat and peek at our lines. And yeah, there's the camera. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, it was. I think in another few months I'm going to be very proud of the work I did, but it was intense. It was very, very challenging, and we were on a tight time schedule, so it was rewarding, but very challenging. But it also, Rachel and I's first time to ever do a project together, and I feel like we actually got a pretty. We always liked each other because she's a goofball, and I like to make fun of her and make fun of myself, so we get along fine with that. And I think we formed a really strong bond that is kind of once in a lifetime.
Oh, I can imagine. And just seeing those photos and knowing how much we asked of you, I'm just, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for rolling with all of the changes and adjustments along the way as we pivoted to like, hey, how about we bring this into your house? So Rachel, tell us what it was like to have an entire film set brought into your place. Was your situation?
Oh my God. It's so funny. My mom is watching right now, and she actually came to my place just like a week ago, and I still had the like the tape, like spike marks, like on my floor of where different camera positions, the tripods, like the desks, the set pieces, whatever. And she was like, Rachel, you got to get those up. And I'm like, I know, but like, what if they need another shot? Like, I'm scared to like take these like these marks off of like my floors and my walls and stuff. So I just like gained mad respect. I already had mad respect for like everyone in the room, like in any show, in any project, but like doing all of that myself, I was like, oh my God, I can't even deal with that. Like, y'all are rock stars. So I just took the tape off of my floor and my walls the other day. But it was so hard. Just, yeah, being my own camera person, light, sound, troubleshooting sound and like Wi-Fi connection and stuff like that. And it was also really stressful, honestly. Troubleshooting everything while people were watching me, like on Zoom, you know, just being directed but it was all people helping me on Zoom, but it was people helping me while watching me on Zoom. Like when I was struggling, I was like, oh God, like just like working with mics and with the camera and all of the lighting equipment. It was like bougie stuff we were given. It was so awesome. But yeah, it was hard. And I cannot, I keep telling people like, no wonder it was hard because I learned so much just about things I've never, I mean, it was beautiful. Just like really having my apartment, my space, my sanctuary, have it like being turned into a set, a film set basically, and having to be like the main person to really take control and learn how to do all of these things in a very quick amount of time. Working, you know, camera, tripod. It may sound easy working like a tripod, but it's hard. It's hard. It was
a skill.
It was a skill, and I would have never ever gained the skills that I got during this experience if it wasn't for all of this, you know, crazy stuff. But it was, I'm still like almost like I'm like
processing it, or
I'm still processing it. My apartment still like isn't fully like in its same setup because I'm still anticipating like, oh, do we need another shot? Like, do we need, because it was insane. Like, shout out to everyone for like always delivering like these huge set pieces, like Q delivering like beds and desks and just like heavy pieces that were brought in and brought out. And it was so hard, but like just thinking about like how my apartment, you can't see it right now, but at one time it was not my apartment. My whole living room was a set, and it was all, I can't even describe it. Like, I might even get emotional. It was like so hard, but so beautiful. And it was putting on all those hats of everyone in the room. It was overwhelming of like, oh my gosh, I thought I appreciated everyone in the room, the stage managers, the lighting, the scenic, the design, the props. Just mad respect, mad props. Like,
Rachel, thank you. Thank you so much for letting us
so much work
take over your homes. Like I said, like, you know, in this time where we are constantly reminding ourselves it's our first time. This is not the way we've worked before. We're learning along the way. So for you to say, you know, learning is an outcome. I know we're all working through new and challenging situations and just taking tons of notes on everything that we're taking in, knowing this is going to continue for a while, but and also giving us the grace of, if you haven't done something before, you may not know exactly what to anticipate along the way, and just couldn't have anticipated it. And you both have been so flexible and such amazing partners. And I know the outcome is going to be just incredible. So thank you. I know that Avery's double booked, or it has a 6:30 tonight. So I want to make sure I get one more question to the actors. And then I know we're going to have some questions about more technical details in the Q&A. But I just would love to hear, because it's such a treat to have the actors with us tonight. So what do you want people to take from WAD? You know, we've given them just a little snippet of what's it about, but if you could say, what do you want the audience to take away from their experience watching the show?
That's a good one. I wish you asked me an easy question that I could leave sounding smart. I don't know. You got anything, Rachel? Or I guess just the spirit of. Oh, she does. Oh,
I'm sorry. I'll
no,
just.
no.
This is the one question where I was like, I don't know what to say. So you go.
I'm going to say the spirit of the need for community and storytelling, which is a huge part of, and then the need for us to resolve some of our issues or shine light on our issues or what we are going through, and the need for storytelling and connection, which is obviously theater. It's obviously at the core of both of our characters. I mean, it's just a universal part of being alive, and that need for connection. So, and the need, and also overcoming, like we 2020, 2021, like we're still overcoming. Like Rachel and I, we had our little battles, not each other. I love Rachel dearly. We get along. But we like, it was a struggle what we were doing. It was very hard, and so we overcame, and just perseverance, I think, maybe is what I'll leave that with.
Awesome. Rachel. Yeah, you like that answer?
Oh, I do, and I just love Avery. I haven't seen him for a couple weeks, so it's really nice to see you. Oh, have fun. Have fun working. Whatever.
Oh, that's right. I don't do questions, people. So unfortunately, I do have to go though. I thank you so much. Somebody wrote, "Thank you." You're welcome, Christine. Thank you so much. I hope you really enjoy it. Enjoy WAD, and I am very proud of it and the work that everybody did. And hopefully it's something social. I don't know. It's completely out of my control. I have no idea. So I'll find out when you find out, I guess. But thank you so much, everyone. I can't wait to see you again in person, or at least you see me in person on stage.
Oh.
Oh, if you're so lucky. I'm totally okay. I'm getting out of here. I'm a
Oh.
dork. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Avery.
Bye.
Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's such a thrill. It's such a thrill. So I think that question at the end of what do we want people to take away, like this is just even if just come along for the ride, because it definitely is fun. It's full of surprises. So Rachel, thank you so much for sharing the experience. And you actually mentioned some things that we didn't even touch on in the beginning about production crew bringing set pieces into homes and all of the people who are behind the scenes. And how about before we go into the Q&A where this audience will be able to ask us questions, Alyssa, could you share and let's give credit to the full creative team who worked on the project.
Absolutely. So we've mentioned our director, Amina Kaplan. You all would have seen her work on Act Stage a few years ago with the Royale, and we are so thrilled to be able to work with her again. MJ Sieber was our director of photography and also our video effects specialist. A lot of that green screen fun magic that you will see that will transform us to really strange magical worlds is all his amazing work. AJG Quinn is our art director. We call them Q. Amanda Mueller is our costume director, or costume designer. She's also our costume shop manager in the Before Times at ACT, and we can't wait to have her back in the shop. And then Ben Lawrence of Trial and Error Productions was our other video editor. So, and then our sound designer was Sharath Patel, and our associate sound designer is Cricket Myers. So we did have a really great team behind the scenes, really doing some phenomenal work. And it's amazing how much the biggest difference I would say about making a play like this is once we finished all the filming, we still have all the editing and all of this other work that is still happening. And so we're still working on it. And we have a little bit of an announcement to make that you all will be the first ones to hear. Editing takes a lot of time, and as much as we tried to anticipate everything that we needed to do, we talked about how complex the video scenes were and the audio, and we really realized we need a little more time to make it really perfect. And so we are going to be delaying the opening by 1 week. We were going to release this Friday, March 5th. We are going to release on March 12th. Just to give our teams that extra bit of time to really give honor to the work that has been happening and all the work that happened to film it, and to really make sure that what we are putting out is a really, really high quality finished product, and that we are all so incredibly proud of. The ambition, the work that everybody put in is really, really remarkable.
Thank you. Yes, thanks everybody for understanding. We had a final decision today where we just knew, in this time of uncertainty around everything, just being flexible and knowing we want to have the best digital season possible. So 1 more week, March 12th. Thank you so much, Alyssa, for sharing that and for giving a shout out to the rest of our team who were involved. We are, I think, at a great point for questions. If anyone has a question about WAD for Rachel, do you have some more time with us for Q&A? Good, awesome. All right, Michael, do you want to manage our Q&A host?
Absolutely. I am just looking through the Q&A now to see our questions. Give me just a moment. And feel free to type those questions into Q&A and chat. I'm seeing a lot of excitement, but not any questions yet. So I actually have one, which I'm going to toss out there if that's okay. I'm kind of curious about, this is a question for Alyssa and Rachel. When it comes to sound, I know that we talked about Sharath and the work that he's doing behind the scenes, but Rachel, did you and Avery have to do any sound effects in the moment on screen to add to the work that he's going to be doing?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think so.
There wasn't a lot of Foley. Like, yeah, we did not ask them to also add sound effects. So that's actually one of the things that we are still very much working on. So the process of doing the sound was actually pretty complicated and pretty amazing. We got some really fancy high-end earbuds that had a microphone that records on the jawbone, which is the same sort of technology that our theatrical microphones use. And so the actors were able to record their voices directly to their computers, and then that then gets synced to the video. And so what we're working on right now is the actors were in two completely different rooms. Their rooms sound completely differently. So now what we're doing is evening out the sound so that it sounds like everybody is together. We're also now adding in sound effects and music and all of those other parts of the play that were not the parts that we could film in the moment. The other thing that I just want to say that is maybe self-evident, but maybe not. Not only were the actors wearing 1,000 hats and doing 1,000 jobs, they also were doing the play out of order, which is not something that we ask theater actors to do. And so they would be told, here are the 3 scenes we're doing today, and they would have to get ready to do those scenes, jumping in and out of emotion, jumping in and out of the takes, pausing to fix a light. So the number of plates that were constantly spinning, and for them to be able to do that rehearsal and to do all of those elements really is one more thing on top of the amazing work that they were both really doing.
Great, thank you. Rachel, can you tell us a little bit about the hair and makeup experience and what that was like?
Oh my gosh! It was, honestly, I feel like I know how to do hair now, which is amazing. It was intense, and it was a learning experience. Like I said before, just having, going like what was just said, like going from just jumping scenes and stuff, like doing prom hair and then doing like 1940s like victory rolls, and then straightening hair and stuff like that. It was really like intense and fast and quick and stressful, but learning the skills of how to do that so quickly, like in 10 minutes of like doing prom hair, like half up, half down. I don't know. It was really a lot in the moment. And I was really stressed, but now coming out of it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I think I can do anyone's hair at any time in any amount of time. It was awesome. And I did my hair the other day, and I used the techniques that I used during the show. I was like, oh, if I want volume, okay, I'm gonna like do the prom hair, and then I'm gonna straighten it out for this other scene that's going in there, and blah blah blah. It was just learning how to do things really fast, really in the moment, and doing it well. And I'm honestly like, I have those skills now. Like I keep thinking about that. I'm like, oh, if I'm gonna go on a date in the future, like, oh, I know how to do that hair like in 10 minutes. It's great. It's fine. Let's do it. It was, yet again, like literally everything in this situation, this process, it was so overwhelming. But now I swear to God, I have so many tools in my tool belt that I didn't have before. It was amazing. It was hard, but from all of that hardship stuff, it's amazing. I know how to do my hair now. Crazy. Didn't think that I would come out of that with like hair knowledge, but I do now.
I mean, it's incredible the things that you and Avery had to learn to make this happen solo in your own homes. Another question for you: how does this experience, how is it going to impact you as a live actor on stage when we can come back?
Oh my gosh. Seriously, in every way, because of putting on so many hats during the process. Just being even more appreciative of like everyone around you and of the work they do. Every person in the room, like I said, with costume, props, hair, set, whatever. I felt so much support, like behind the scenes, from specifically from Amanda, who did costumes. A huge shout out of her, just like with also hair. Like I could yet again, I could cry of just those folks who like don't like everyone who is not on stage, who doesn't get the applause at the end of the night, who really put everything into making the production amazing, who taught me so much in just like the span of a month about, like I said, like props, hair, costume, set, everything. Learning what they do and then trying to do it myself and like really struggling with it. I don't know, I'm so thankful. Like it's really, it's messed up. Like I was already thankful, but like this is everything y'all do, having to like try and put on like a little bit of y'all's hat in the moment. It's so much work and it's so much pressure. And I really came out of, like, the one thing I really came out of this feeling is just appreciative of all of y'all. Like, and I'll say it now, I'll say it again and again and again, like, y'all are stressed, man. And I felt it and I feel you and I love you. And y'all should be so happy, like with the work you do. It's so hard. All I have to do is like memorize the freaking lines and do it. I know it sounds like that, but it feels like that. So now I know y'all's experience. I can't even say it. I'll say it again, but someone interrupt me. I'm so happy.
Well, I will just say that learning lines is very important, so don't underestimate the skill set there. I'm actually going to ask Alyssa a question now. What was the most challenging for you on the production side?
I mean, I think that it kind of goes off of what Rachel was saying, that we are so used to being there and being able to help when something goes wrong, because the process of making theater is always adapting and always changing. And this is big and hard, but we do big and hard things. But to watch somebody struggle and the best you can do is be like, okay, let's just take a breath. Let's talk about how to move this camera in this way. Watching, we had an issue with Rachel's mic at one point, and Cricket, our sound person, was just like, this is when I send the A2 down and I just swapped the mic. So it was watching little things be really complicated problems that we knew how to fix. We just couldn't fix in the moment because we were across town or across the country. And that is something that, of everything getting back into the theater, that is what I am most excited about, is that we've got such great team members to be able to all work together again and to all be making the collaborative art that we do so well.
I do, real quick, I really do, I want to give a shout out to Alyssa, because Alyssa, like, literally I just was so supportive, like, with me in this process, and was like so loving and nurturing, and was like, let me help you and let me give you the love that you need and are willing to accept. And Alyssa really, like, came through for me, and I want to really make that clear. Like, Alyssa, thank you. Like, you were so sweet. She showed up at my house so many times delivering like earbuds and everything, and my broken computer and everything. And so I just want to, like, put it out there. Like, you really homie for my back the whole time, had my back. So thank you. That's all.
Alyssa finds a way.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's a skill that we are incredibly grateful for. So yeah, Alyssa finds a way. Thank you.
She does it for us pretty much every day.
Does it for everybody.
Not just the artists, it's also staff. Rachel, I'm gonna go back to you. You and Avery are both core company members, so you have some sort of history and rapport together. How do you think that influenced this process? So if it was some actor you've never met and you were doing this, would it be different? I mean, how does it feel? How would it feel, do you think?
It's so funny because Avery and I actually had like I feel like, and he would say the same thing. Like, we really didn't have like a relationship before this. We were in the same core company, but we had never been in a show together. Before the show, we had just, hung out like sporadically, shortly, whatever it may be. We never, we really didn't know each other. It's so funny because he made a comment earlier about him being like pasty and stuff. Like, he did that the same thing. Like the day we met, we had like a core company shoot, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so pasty, like, oh, this is gonna look so bad in the photos. I'm so pasty." Blah, blah. I was like, "Oh, Avery, like Avery, sweet little baby." So I actually, we really didn't know each other, but I had seen his work in some shows, and in my opinion, he's a master of Shakespeare. Oh my God, so good at classical text, like Avery, chef's kiss. But yeah, we didn't know each other. And then what happened is, when we both found out that we were cast as, niece, we were cast in the show. He texted me individually before the process started, and he was like, so beautiful. He was like, "Hey, I have your back. Like, whatever you need, I got you. Let's do this. Let's do this together. If you need anything, I got you." Like, he was that castmate who, before anything, was like, "I'm your support system. It's you and I. Let's kill this together." And that really set the scene for success, honestly, with him and I, for him just reaching out beforehand, like friend to friend, being like, "It's you and I. Let's do this. Let's conquer this." And He's great. I forget his sign. I feel like if I knew his sign, like I could like speak more on this, like his astrological sign. But that's just me. But no, Avery and I are like, we have a bond for life. Him and I are very opposite, different people. But the support that we have for each other before, during, and after this process, it was meant to be. Like, and it's no matter, like, of course, now I know, like, Keiko was like, I want Avery and I want Rachel. And it makes sense. Like, he's swell. He's a weirdo. And so am I. And I love him. He's gone and I miss him already. He's great. Yeah.
We love both of you. We do. You said that Keiko had in her mind that she wanted you and Avery. Were you a true crime fan before you came into this? Did you have any idea what you were getting into?
I didn't have any idea like what I was getting into, but I am a huge true crime person. I mean, my favorite show from like the time I was like a little baby was like Law and Order SVU, like, but also just like NCIS, like that's my dad's favorite show. And also just like really into like true crime documentaries and stuff like that. So I've always been into this sort of like stuff. So that's a good question, because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, if I was someone else, I probably would have like been like a little more like I've done some more research and like been like, whoa, like what am I getting into? But no, going into it, I was like, no, this is perfect. Like this is what I've been watching this stuff for years, and it's pretty messed up. But like, yeah, that's me. I'm like a documentary buff myself. If anyone wants like my top 70 documentary list, hit me up social medias, whatever. But yeah,
That's a great answer. Thank you. Becky and Alyssa, have any other questions from you popped up in your head as we've been, talking to Avery and Rachel?
I think I saw someone said, even though it was a challenge, would you do it again? Yes, we're going to do it again. At least as far as I know, how we're filming history of theater is very, very different. It's much more of a kind of docudrama approach to that script. But yes, we're going to do it again and make as much art as we can in this time until we get through. That's our charge, is to continue with our mission and like Rachel has said, just learn along the way and make sure that hopefully, even though it's challenging, that everyone feels as supported as possible. But we're really excited about these projects in whatever way we can get them to you. Alyssa, anything to add?
That artists making art and trying to continue to have this is been the best part of this pandemic. It's that moment even if you're in a Zoom room, like, oh right, we're doing this and we're all gonna come back on the other side. It just feels really, really great and really positive, and every time we get into that room. So yeah, we're going to keep doing it. Will we do it exactly like this? Probably not, but we'll continue to learn, and we'll continue to adapt, and we'll continue to figure out what the next right thing is for the project. Because that's the other thing I think we've learned in this, is that there is no such thing as one size fits all. And so each project gets such its own individual treatment. And that's something I really do hope we carry forward when we are back on stage.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'd say for anyone out there, as you saw some stills to see the fantasy scenes, we want to spread the word that it really does feel like a movie. It's different than sitting in front of a computer and watching four squares, which thank you for being with us tonight. But for anyone, over the past year who has watched Zoom readings, this is different. It is a high quality shoot, lots of tech in the background, and I think it'll be really, really entertaining. So we'd love your support in helping to get the word out that it starts on March 12th, coming up.
And we will still stream it for 3 weeks. So, so we're starting it a little bit late, but we're also going to run it longer so that you still have lots of opportunities to stream it on demand. And so I'm really excited to be able to share it with everyone.
Well, I think that's a great spot for us to go ahead and wrap up the evening. Thank you all so much. Rachel, this was amazing to hear about your experience and just what an intense challenge it was. I'm amazed. I'm amazed at what you and Avery did, and I cannot wait to see it. And Becky and Alyssa, thank you for always being such wonderful co-hosts. And thank you to all of you here tonight and for your support. We look forward to seeing you back on Zoom again soon. Have a great night.
Thank you all. We miss you. Thanks for zooming in with us tonight.
Yay, thanks everyone.
Thank you, Rachel.
Woo! Fun time.